Have you ever noticed that some of the most intelligent people seem to spend a surprising amount of time alone? Not because nobody wants to be around them, not because they are shy, not because they dislike people, but because somewhere along their journey, they discovered something that most people never do. They discovered that solitude is not emptiness. It is power. In a world obsessed with noise, constant communication, endless notifications, and the pressure to always be connected, intelligent people often choose a different path. While others rush toward crowds, they quietly step away. While others seek validation, they seek understanding. While others fear being alone, they learn to thrive within it, and from the outside, this behavior is often misunderstood. People call them distant, reserved, antisocial, arrogant, but the truth is far deeper than that. What looks like isolation is often self-discovery. What looks like withdrawal is often growth. What looks like loneliness is often inner mastery, because intelligent people understand a secret that many spend their entire lives searching for. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your mind, and the quality of your mind is shaped in the moments when nobody else is around. Before we dive into this life-changing message, take a moment to pause this video and do 3 things. Hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 1,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 99. This number will send a powerful signal to the universe, amplifying the energy of this video. Think about it, the greatest ideas in history were rarely born in crowded rooms. The most profound discoveries did not emerge from endless small talk. The deepest insights were often found in silence. When the world becomes quiet, something extraordinary happens. You begin to hear yourself, not the version of yourself created by social expectations, not the version shaped by trends, not the version seeking approval, the real you, the voice beneath all the noise. And that is exactly why solitude becomes so valuable to intelligent people. They know that every moment spent alone is an opportunity to think more deeply, to understand more clearly, to see what others overlook, to connect with dimensions of life that cannot be reached through constant distraction. Most people are terrified of silence. The moment they are alone, they reach for their phones, they turn on music, they open social media, they seek entertainment. Anything to avoid facing their own thoughts. But intelligent people are different. They do not run from their minds, they explore them. They enter the landscape of their own consciousness with curiosity, and within that landscape, they discover treasures, ideas, dreams, solutions, wisdom, creativity, strength. This is why solitude often becomes their sanctuary. Not because they hate people, but because they love growth. Not because they reject society, but because they value clarity. Not because they fear connection, but because they understand that meaningful connection begins with understanding yourself first. There is something almost mystical about being alone. When the noise of the world fades away, your awareness expands. You begin to notice things you never noticed before: the movement of your thoughts, the patterns of your emotions, the hidden motivations behind your decisions, the dreams that have been quietly waiting for your attention. It is as though solitude opens a secret door inside the mind, a door that remains invisible to those who never stop moving. And intelligent people walk through that door again and again, because they know that every breakthrough begins there. Every transformation begins there. Every masterpiece begins there. History is filled with brilliant minds who embrace solitude. Scientists, philosophers, inventors, artists, writers, visionaries. They understood that while crowds can provide information, solitude provides understanding, and understanding changes everything. When you are constantly surrounded by other voices, your own voice becomes difficult to hear. But when you sit alone long enough, something remarkable happens. Your thoughts become clearer, your priorities become sharper, your purpose becomes stronger. You stop reacting to life and you start creating it. That is one of the greatest reasons intelligent people prefer being alone. They do not want to merely experience reality, they want to understand it, they want to examine it, question it, explore it, and eventually transform it, because intelligence is not simply about knowing more. It is about seeing deeper, and depth requires silence. Imagine standing beside a lake. If the surface is constantly disturbed, you cannot see what lies beneath, but when the water becomes still, the depths reveal themselves. The human mind works the same way. Most people live in constant mental turbulence, constant stimulation, constant distraction, constant noise. Intelligent people seek stillness because they know that clarity emerges from calm, and in that calm, they find answers. Answers about life, answers about themselves, answers about the future they want to create. That is why solitude is not a punishment for them. It is a privilege, a sacred space, a workshop where dreams are built, a temple where wisdom is cultivated, a place where the soul remembers who it truly is. And perhaps the greatest irony of all is this: the people who are most comfortable being alone are often the people who understand human nature the best, because they have spent countless hours observing, reflecting, analyzing, learning. They have studied themselves, and through understanding themselves, they have gained insight into others. That is the hidden power of solitude. It does not separate you from life. It reveals life. It does not make you weaker. It makes you stronger. It does not make you lonely. It teaches you completeness, and once you discover that completeness, everything changes. You stop chasing approval. You stop fearing rejection. You stop depending on others to define your worth, because you have discovered something infinitely more valuable. You have discovered your own center, the place within you that remains steady regardless of what happens around you, and that is why intelligent people often appear different. They are not running away from the world, they are building a relationship with themselves. A relationship so strong that it becomes the foundation for everything else. For their creativity, for their confidence, for their wisdom, for their success, because at the end of the day, intelligence is not merely about having a high IQ. True intelligence is the ability to sit quietly with yourself and continue discovering new worlds within, and that journey begins in solitude. But there is another reason intelligent people often choose solitude, and it is one that few people ever talk about. The more deeply you understand the world, the more you begin to see things that others overlook. You notice patterns. You notice contradictions. You notice hidden motivations behind people's actions. You notice how often people speak without truly listening, how often they follow without questioning, how often they chase things they do not genuinely want. For an intelligent mind, this awareness can feel both fascinating and exhausting. Imagine walking through a crowded city where everyone is rushing in different directions. Most people see movement. An intelligent person sees patterns. Most people hear conversations. An intelligent person hears beliefs, fears, insecurities, ambitions, and unspoken desires hidden beneath the words. This heightened awareness creates a unique experience. The world becomes richer, but it also becomes heavier, because once you see deeply, you cannot unsee, and that is why solitude becomes more than a preference. It becomes a form of recovery, a place where the mind can breathe, a place where thoughts can settle, a place where understanding can organize itself. Just as athletes need rest after intense physical activity, intelligent people often need solitude after intense mental stimulation. They need time to process, time to reflect, time to transform information into wisdom, and there is a difference between information and wisdom. Information fills the mind. Wisdom transforms it. The modern world is overflowing with information. Millions of opinions, millions of headlines, millions of voices competing for attention, but wisdom is becoming rare, because wisdom requires something most people avoid: stillness. Intelligent people understand this instinctively. They know that every meaningful realization needs space. Like a seed growing beneath the soil, like a star forming in the darkness of space, the most important transformations happen quietly. This is why many highly intelligent individuals seem detached from trends and social expectation. It is not because they think they are better than others. It is because they spend less time being influenced by external noise. When you spend enough time alone, you begin to develop something incredibly powerful: independent thought. You stop automatically accepting ideas because they are popular. You stop believing things simply because everyone else does. You start asking questions. Why? How? What if? Could there be another perspective? And those questions become the foundation of genuine intelligence. History has never been changed by people who blindly followed the crowd. It has always been changed by individuals willing to think differently. People willing to stand alone. People willing to question accepted beliefs. People willing to trust their own understanding, and every one of those qualities is strengthened in solitude, because solitude teaches courage. Not the courage to fight others, the courage to face yourself, the courage to sit with uncomfortable truths, the courage to examine your fears, the courage to challenge your own assumptions. Most people spend their lives avoiding this process. They distract themselves from it. They stay busy, they stay entertained, they stay occupied. Anything to avoid looking inward, but intelligent people eventually realize that the answers they seek cannot be found entirely outside themselves. The greatest discoveries are often internal, and the journey inward requires solitude. There comes a moment in many intelligent people's lives when they recognize a profound truth: the crowd can offer companionship, but it cannot offer identity. Only you can discover who you truly are, and that discovery demands time alone. It demands honesty. It demands reflection. It demands silence. Think about a sculptor standing before a block of stone. The masterpiece is already hidden inside, but it cannot emerge until everything unnecessary is removed. Human beings are no different. Beneath the expectations, beneath the fears, beneath the conditioning, beneath the masks, your authentic self already exists. Solitude becomes the chisel that reveals it. Every quiet moment removes another layer. Every reflection reveals another truth. Every hour alone brings you closer to yourself, and perhaps that is one of the greatest reasons intelligent people cherish solitude, because they understand that self-knowledge is one of life's greatest treasures. Without self-knowledge, success feels empty. Without self-knowledge, achievement feels hollow. Without self-knowledge, even happiness becomes unstable. But when you know yourself deeply, everything changes. Your decisions become clearer. Your relationships become healthier. Your purpose becomes stronger. Your confidence becomes quieter but more powerful, because it is no longer dependent on external approval. It comes from within, and that inner confidence is difficult to shake. The world may praise you, or criticize you, accept you, or reject you, but your sense of self remains intact because it was built in solitude. There is a remarkable strength that emerges when a person becomes comfortable being alone. It is the strength of freedom, the freedom to think independently, the freedom to choose your own path, the freedom to walk away from things that no longer serve you, the freedom to remain authentic even when authenticity is unpopular. Most people never experience this freedom because they are trapped by a powerful fear: the fear of being alone, the fear of missing out, the fear of rejection, the fear of judgment. But intelligent people gradually discover something extraordinary. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. Loneliness is the absence of connection. Solitude is the presence of yourself, and those are completely different experiences. One creates suffering, the other creates growth. One drains energy, the other restores it. One feels empty, the other feels full. When intelligent people spend time alone, they are rarely doing nothing. Their minds are exploring, creating, analyzing, imagining, connecting ideas, solving problems, building visions for the future. What appears to be inactivity from the outside is often extraordinary activity on the inside. Entire worlds are being created. Entire futures are being designed. Entire transformations are taking place, and this is why some of the most innovative ideas emerge during moments of solitude. The mind finally has room to wander, room to connect unexpected dots, room to see possibilities invisible amidst constant noise. Scientists have long observed that many creative breakthroughs occur when people step away from distractions, during walks, during quiet reflection, during moments of solitude, because creativity is not merely thinking harder. It is thinking deeper, and depth requires space. Imagine trying to see the stars during daylight. They are there, but the brightness hides them. Likewise, many brilliant ideas already exist within the mind, but constant stimulation prevents them from becoming visible. Solitude creates darkness for those stars to appear, and suddenly inspiration arrives. A solution, a vision, a realization, an idea that changes everything. This is one reason intelligent people often seem ahead of their time. They spend enough time alone to hear thoughts that others never notice. While the crowd is reacting to the present moment, they are quietly imagining the future. While others are repeating existing ideas, they are creating new ones. While others seek entertainment, they seek understanding, and understanding eventually becomes wisdom. Yet there is another layer to this story. A deeper layer, a spiritual layer, because solitude does not only strengthen the mind, it also strengthens the soul. There is a sacred quality to silence, a mysterious quality, a quality that humanity has recognized for thousands of years. Mystics sought it, monks sought it, philosophers sought it, sages sought it, not because silence contains nothing, but because silence contains everything. When external noise disappears, a different kind of awareness emerges. A deeper awareness, an awareness beyond thought, an awareness beyond emotion, an awareness that simply observes. Many intelligent people naturally move toward this state, not necessarily through formal meditation, but through contemplation, reflection, observation, stillness, and in those moments, they begin to sense something profound. Life is far bigger than daily worries, far bigger than temporary struggles, far bigger than social approval. They begin to see existence itself with new eyes, the beauty of a sunrise, the mystery of consciousness, the miracle of being alive, the vastness of the universe, the fragility of time, and these realizations change them. They become less reactive, less impulsive, less controlled by external chaos because they have touched something deeper, something timeless, something real. This is the hidden gift of solitude. It gradually shifts your center of gravity. You stop living from the outside in. You begin living from the inside out. Your peace comes from within. Your direction comes from within. Your purpose comes from within, and once that transformation occurs, there is no going back because you have discovered a source of strength that cannot be taken away, a source of wisdom that cannot be purchased, a source of clarity that cannot be taught, can only be experienced, experienced in silence, experienced in reflection, experienced in solitude, and that is why intelligent people often return to solitude again and again throughout their lives, not because they are escaping reality, but because they are reconnecting with it, not because they are avoiding life, but because they are understanding it, not because they are disconnected from the world, but because they are learning how to engage with it more consciously. And in a world addicted to noise, that may be one of the rarest forms of intelligence of all. There is another truth about intelligent people that often confuses the world. As their understanding grows, their social circle usually becomes smaller, not because they stop caring about people, not because they become cold, but because they begin to value depth over quantity. Most relationships are built on convenience, shared locations, shared routines, shared circumstances, but intelligent people crave something deeper. They seek meaningful conversations, authentic connections, ideas that challenge them, perspectives that expand their understanding, and when they cannot find those things, they often choose solitude rather than shallow interaction. To many people, this decision appears strange. After all, society constantly teaches us that more friends mean more happiness. More social activity means more success. More attention means more value, but intelligent people eventually discover that these assumptions are not always true because there is a profound difference between being surrounded by people and being understood. A person can stand in the middle of a crowd and feel completely alone, and another person can sit quietly by themselves and feel deeply fulfilled. The difference is not external. It is internal. Intelligent people understand that true connection is rare, and because it is rare, they do not waste their energy chasing it everywhere. Instead, they become selective, not judgmental. Selective, they begin choosing quality over quantity, meaning over appearance, depth over popularity, and this decision transforms their lives. Think about a miner searching for diamonds. He does not collect every stone he sees. He searches carefully, patiently, because he understands that value is rare. Relationships work the same way. Intelligent people learn that a few genuine connections are worth more than hundreds of superficial ones. A handful of trusted companions can provide more meaning than endless social validation, and this realization often leads them toward solitude. Not permanent isolation, but intentional solitude, the ability to enjoy their own company while remaining open to meaningful relationships. This balance is incredibly powerful because it removes desperation. When you are comfortable alone, you stop needing people to complete you. You stop chasing acceptance. You stop forcing connections. You stop pretending to be someone you are not. Instead, you become free. Free to be authentic. Free to be honest. Free to wait for relationships that genuinely align with your values. This freedom is something many people never experience because they are terrified of being alone. They would rather remain in unhealthy relationships than face solitude. They would rather surround themselves with noise than sit quietly with themselves. But intelligent people gradually realize something remarkable. Solitude is not the enemy. Self-abandonment is the real danger is not being alone, the real danger is losing yourself in the pursuit of belonging, and once they understand this, their relationship with solitude changes forever. They no longer see it as something to endure, they see it as something to protect. A sacred space, a place where clarity returns, a place where identity remains intact, a place where growth continues, and this is especially important because intelligent people often carry another burden, the burden of overthinking. Now, overthinking is frequently portrayed as a weakness, but the truth is more complicated. The same mind that analyzes deeply, questions deeply, reflects deeply, also tends to think deeply, and sometimes that depth becomes overwhelming. The intelligent mind rarely accepts simple answers. It wants to understand every angle, every possibility, every consequence, every hidden detail. While others move quickly through life, intelligent people often pause, observe, reflect, examine, and this process can be exhausting because the mind never completely turns off. Questions continue, ideas continue, possibilities continue, even when the world goes silent. This is why solitude becomes essential. It provides an environment where thoughts can finally organize themselves, without constant external demands, without endless interruptions, without competing voices. The intelligent mind gains room to breathe, room to sort chaos into order, room to transform confusion into clarity, and that transformation is powerful because clarity changes everything. A confused mind reacts, a clear mind creates, a confused mind follows, a clear mind leads, a confused mind fears uncertainty, a clear mind navigates uncertainty. This is why solitude often becomes one of the greatest advantages intelligent people possess. It allows them to process life more effectively, to think more strategically, to understand more deeply, to act more intentionally. While others are constantly reacting to circumstances, they are quietly preparing for them. While others are consumed by distraction, they are building understanding, and over time that understanding compounds. Like interest in a bank account, like a tree growing silently beneath the surface, like a river carving its path through stone. Small moments of reflection accumulate, day after day, year after year, until eventually the difference becomes extraordinary. This is one reason why some of the world's most successful individuals have valued solitude. Not because solitude itself creates success, but because solitude creates the conditions where success can emerge. Focus, discipline, creativity, self-awareness, strategic thinking. These qualities are difficult to develop amidst constant noise, but in solitude, they flourish. Imagine trying to hear a whisper during a loud concert. It is nearly impossible. Yet in a quiet room, the whisper becomes clear. Your intuition works the same way. Your deepest wisdom often speaks softly, very softly, so softly that it is drowned out by distractions, but solitude allows that voice to be heard, and intelligent people learn to trust it. Not blindly but respectfully, because they understand that beneath all the noise of the world exists an inner compass, a quiet source of guidance, a subtle knowing, a deeper intelligence. The more time they spend alone, the stronger this connection becomes, and eventually they realize something extraordinary. Many of the answers they spent years searching for already existed within them. Not as complete solutions, not as magical revelations, but as insights waiting to be discovered, waiting beneath layers of distraction, waiting beneath fear, waiting beneath external influence. Solitude removes those layers, slowly, patiently, powerfully, and perhaps this is why intelligent people often appear calm during situations that overwhelm others. It is not because they experience less uncertainty. It is because they have spent years developing an inner relationship with themselves. They know how to sit with discomfort. They know how to process complexity. They know how to remain grounded amidst chaos, because solitude taught them. The world often teaches people how to communicate with others, but solitude teaches people how to communicate with themselves, and that skill changes everything. It changes how you think, how you feel, how you respond, how you grow, how you lead, how you love, because every relationship in your life is influenced by the relationship you have with yourself, and intelligent people understand this. Perhaps not consciously at first, but eventually they see it clearly. The quality of your inner world determines the quality of your outer world. If your inner world is chaotic, your decisions become chaotic. If your inner world is fearful, your actions become fearful. If your inner world is clear, your life becomes clearer, and clarity is one of the greatest gifts solitude offers. This is why intelligent people often return to solitude repeatedly throughout their lives, not as a retreat from reality, but as a return to reality. A return to truth, a return to perspective, a return to themselves, because every time they step away from the noise, they remember something important: who they are, what matters, what deserves their energy, what deserves their attention, and what does not. In a society that constantly demands attention, this ability is priceless because attention is life. Whatever receives your attention receives your energy. Whatever receives your energy shapes your future. Intelligent people understand this, and that understanding makes solitude incredibly valuable. It becomes a place where attention can be reclaimed, where focus can be restored, where purpose can be rediscovered, and in that quiet space, something remarkable happens. The mind becomes sharper, the heart becomes calmer, the spirit becomes stronger, and the individual becomes increasingly capable of creating a life aligned with their deepest values. Not society's values, not the crowd's values, their truth, their purpose, and perhaps that is the greatest reason intelligent people prefer being alone, because solitude allows them to hear the voice of their own soul. A voice that becomes almost impossible to hear in a world filled with endless noise. A voice that quietly whispers, slow down, pay attention, remember who you are, remember what matters, remember why you are here. And those who learn to hear that voice gain something more valuable than popularity, more valuable than status, more valuable than approval. They gain wisdom, the kind of wisdom that guides a person through uncertainty, the kind of wisdom that creates resilience, the kind of wisdom that transforms an ordinary life into an extraordinary journey. And every journey toward wisdom begins the same way, with a moment of silence, a moment of solitude, a moment when a person finally stops running from themselves and begins listening, truly listening, for the first time. Now here is where the story becomes even more fascinating, because solitude is not merely a preference of intelligent people. It is often the source of their greatest power. Most people spend their lives searching for power in external places. Power through money, power through status, power through recognition, power through influence, but intelligent people eventually discover a different kind of power. A quieter power, a deeper power, a power that cannot be given and cannot be taken away. The power of self-mastery, and self-mastery is born in solitude. Think about it. Anyone can appear strong when circumstances are favorable. Anyone can appear confident when surrounded by support. Anyone can appear disciplined when life is easy, but what happens when the room becomes silent? What happens when there is no audience, no applause, no validation, no distractions? That is where character is revealed. That is where self-mastery begins, because solitude forces a person to meet themselves honestly. There is nowhere to hide, no crowd to blend into, no external noise to drown out internal truths. Only you, your thoughts, your habits, your fears, your strengths, your weaknesses, your potential. And while many people avoid this encounter, intelligent people gradually learn to embrace it, because they understand that growth begins where comfort ends. Every great transformation starts with awareness. You cannot improve what you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot strengthen what you refuse to examine. You cannot evolve while constantly escaping yourself. Solitude creates the conditions for honest self-examination, and honest self-examination creates transformation. This is why many highly intelligent individuals appear different from the crowd. Their confidence is different, their ambition is different. Even their happiness is different, because it is built internally rather than externally. The average person often asks, "What do people think of me?" The intelligent person eventually asks, "What do I think of myself?" And that single shift changes everything, because external approval is unpredictable. One day people praise you, the next day they criticize you. One day they support you, the next day they ignore you. Building your identity on external validation is like building a house on shifting sand. Eventually it collapses, but intelligent people seek a stronger foundation. They build their lives upon self-awareness, integrity, purpose, understanding, values, and these foundations are strengthened through solitude. The remarkable thing about solitude is that it reveals truths that noise conceals. When life becomes quiet, illusions begin to disappear. You start recognizing which goals genuinely matter. You start recognizing which fears are controlling you. You start recognizing which habits are helping you and which habits are harming you.